Every week arrives carrying a question, not a question about your schedule, not a question about your deadlines, not even a question about your goals. The question is simple: who will you choose to become this week? Most people begin their week by looking at their calendar. They open their phones, they check their emails, they review their obligations. And before the day has even begun, they feel overwhelmed. They allow the demands of the world to tell them who they need to be. But the most fulfilled people do something different. They begin with purpose. Because success is not created by what happens during the week. Success is created by how the week begins. When you wake up on Monday morning, you have a choice. You can spend your energy reacting to everything around you, or you can decide what truly matters before the noise begins. The problem is not that people are too busy. The problem is that many people are busy without direction. They move fast but don't know where they're going. They complete tasks but feel empty. They achieve goals but still wonder why fulfillment seems so far away. A meaningful week starts by remembering that your life is bigger than your to-do list. You were not created merely to survive another week. You were created to contribute. You were created to grow. You were created to serve a purpose greater than yourself. And when you remember that truth at the beginning of every week, something remarkable happens. The stress does not disappear, but it no longer controls you. The obstacles do not vanish, but they no longer define you. Purpose changes everything. Purpose turns work into service. Purpose turns challenges into lessons. Purpose turns ordinary days into meaningful opportunities. Before you plan your week, ask yourself a better question. Instead of asking, "What do I need to get done?" ask, "Who do I need to become?" Because the quality of your life is not determined by what you accomplish. It is determined by the person you become while accomplishing it. Maybe this is the week you become more patient. Maybe this is the week you become more courageous. Maybe this is the week you become more disciplined. Maybe this is the week you finally stop waiting for confidence and start taking action despite your fear. Growth never happens by accident. Growth happens when you choose it. Every week gives you another opportunity to make that choice. Many people spend years hoping their circumstances will improve. They believe happiness will arrive when the promotion comes, when the business grows, when the relationship improves, or when life becomes easier. But life teaches a different lesson. External success is temporary. Internal growth is lasting. The strongest people are not those who have perfect circumstances. The strongest people are those who have learned how to maintain their purpose even when circumstances are imperfect. That is why the beginning of every week matters so much. It is your opportunity to reset your focus. It is your opportunity to remember your values. It is your opportunity to align your actions with the person you want to become. And perhaps the most important thing you can do at the beginning of every week is to stop carrying the weight of last week. Too many people enter a new week carrying old failures. They replay mistakes. They relive disappointments. They focus on what went wrong instead of what is possible. But growth requires release. You cannot fully embrace a new beginning while holding tightly to the past. Every sunrise is a reminder that life itself believes in fresh starts. Every Monday is proof that another opportunity has been placed in your hands. The question is whether you will accept it. Do not allow one bad week to become a bad month. Do not allow one setback to become your identity. Do not allow yesterday's disappointment to steal today's opportunity. You are stronger than your mistakes. You are bigger than your failures. You are capable of more than your fears would have you believe. And when you understand this, you stop seeing Monday as something to survive. You start seeing it as something to embrace. The beginning of the week is not a burden. It is a gift to learn, a gift to improve, a gift to contribute, a gift to move one step closer to the person you are capable of becoming. So before this week rushes forward, take a moment, be still, remember what matters, remember why you started. Remember the people who depend on your leadership, your kindness, your courage, and your example. Then make a decision, not a decision about what you will accomplish, a decision about who you will become, because when purpose leads, progress follows. When values lead, fulfillment follows. When growth leads, success follows. And week after week, choice after choice, day after day, you begin building a life that is not measured merely by achievement, but by significance. That is how you should begin every week. With gratitude in your heart, with purpose in your mind, with faith in your future, and with the unwavering belief that the best version of yourself is still ahead of you. Every meaningful week begins with a decision that most people overlook. It is not the decision of what tasks to complete, what meetings to attend, or what goals to chase. It is the decision to remember why any of those things matter in the first place. Too often, people start their week carrying pressure instead of purpose. They wake up already feeling behind. Their minds are filled with deadlines, expectations, and responsibilities. Before they even begin, they are reacting to demands rather than leading themselves with intention. Pressure is a powerful force. It convinces us that urgency is the same as importance. It pushes us to move faster, work harder, and do more. But pressure alone rarely creates fulfillment. It may produce activity, but activity without purpose often leads to exhaustion. You can spend an entire week crossing items off a list and still feel as though something important is missing. That missing piece is purpose. Purpose gives meaning to effort. It reminds you that your work is connected to something larger than the work itself. The teacher is not simply delivering lessons, they are shaping lives. The entrepreneur is not merely building a business, they are creating value for others. The parent is not just managing responsibilities. They are building a foundation for future generations. When purpose becomes clear, even ordinary actions begin to carry extraordinary significance. At the start of every week, instead of asking, "What do I have to do?" ask yourself, "Why does this matter?" That simple shift changes everything. It transforms obligation into opportunity. It replaces dread with direction. It allows you to see challenges not as burdens, but as chances to grow, contribute, and make a difference. The people who inspire us most are not driven solely by pressure. They are guided by a deep understanding of purpose. They know what they stand for, they know what they believe in, and because they know why they are moving forward, they can remain committed even when the journey becomes difficult. Purpose gives people the strength to continue long after motivation fades. There will always be pressure in life. There will always be expectations to meet and obstacles to overcome. The goal is not to eliminate pressure. The goal is to prevent pressure from becoming your leader. When pressure leads, fear often follows. When purpose leads, courage follows. One causes you to focus on what might go wrong. The other encourages you to focus on what is worth fighting for. As this week begins, remember that you are more than your schedule. You are more than your responsibilities. You are more than the demands placed upon you by the world. Take a moment to reconnect with what truly matters. Remember the values that guide your life. Remember the people you hope to serve. Remember the impact you want to create. When purpose becomes the foundation of your week, every action gains meaning. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes part of the journey. And instead of merely surviving another week, you begin living it with intention, clarity, and a sense of direction that no amount of pressure can ever provide. One of the greatest obstacles to living a meaningful life is the desire for comfort. Comfort feels safe. It feels familiar. It asks very little of us and promises protection from failure, rejection, and uncertainty. Yet the truth is that comfort has never been the place where extraordinary growth occurs. Growth begins the moment you step beyond what is familiar and choose to become more than you were yesterday. At the beginning of every week, you are presented with a choice. You can follow the same routines, think the same thoughts, make the same excuses, and remain exactly where you are. Or you can embrace the possibility of growth. You can decide that this week will not simply be another repetition of the last one. You can choose to challenge yourself, learn something new, and take actions that move you closer to the person you want to become. The reason many people remain stuck is not because they lack talent or opportunity. It is because they have become too attached to comfort. They wait until they feel ready before taking action. They wait until fear disappears before moving forward. They wait until the circumstances are perfect before making a change. But growth does not operate according to those conditions. Growth often begins when you feel uncertain. Growth begins when you take a step before you have all the answers. Growth begins when you choose courage over certainty. Think about every significant achievement in your life. There was likely a moment when you felt uncomfortable, a moment when you doubted yourself, a moment when you wondered whether you were capable of succeeding, yet it was precisely because you moved through that discomfort that you discovered strength you never knew you possessed. The people who achieve meaningful success are not necessarily the most gifted. They are often the ones most willing to be uncomfortable. They understand that every skill must be developed, every lesson must be learned, and every breakthrough requires effort. They do not see challenges as signs to stop. They see them as invitations to grow. Each week offers countless opportunities to choose growth over comfort. It may mean having a difficult conversation that you've been avoiding. It may mean starting a project that feels intimidating. It may mean waking up earlier, learning a new skill, taking responsibility for a mistake, or pursuing a dream that others doubt. These actions are rarely comfortable, but they are often the very actions that create transformation. The danger of comfort is not that it feels good. The danger is that it can slowly convince you to settle for less than your potential. It whispers that staying where you are is safer than becoming who you could be. Over time, that mindset can lead to regret. Not because you failed, but because you never gave yourself the chance to discover what was possible. As this week begins, refuse to let comfort make your decisions. Let growth become your standard. Choose the challenge that stretches you. Choose the responsibility that develops you. Choose the opportunity that requires courage. Every small act of growth compounds over time. Day by day, week by week, it shapes your character, strengthens your confidence, and expands your capacity. Remember, the goal is not to become comfortable. The goal is to become capable. And capability is built every time you choose growth over comfort. When you make that choice consistently, you do more than improve your circumstances. You transform yourself into the person you were always capable of becoming. One of the most powerful ways to begin any week is to identify the one goal that matters most. In a world filled with endless distractions, constant notifications, and competing priorities, the ability to focus has become one of the rarest and most valuable skills a person can develop. Many people start their week with a list of dozens of things they hope to accomplish. They fill their calendars, organize their tasks, and commit themselves to doing more. Yet by the end of the week, they often feel exhausted rather than fulfilled. Not because they failed to work hard, but because they spread their energy across too many directions. The reality is that not everything deserves equal attention. Some tasks are urgent but not important. Some activities keep you busy but do not move you forward. Some commitments consume your time without contributing to your growth. The challenge is not finding things to do. The challenge is identifying what truly matters. That is why every week should begin with a simple question. What is the one meaningful goal that, if accomplished, would make the greatest difference in my life, work, or purpose? This question forces clarity. It requires you to separate what is important from what is merely convenient. It challenges you to focus on impact rather than activity. Most importantly, it helps you align your actions with your values. Meaningful goals are different from ordinary goals. Ordinary goals often focus on outcomes alone. Meaningful goals focus on contribution, growth, and purpose. They are connected to something deeper than personal achievement. They reflect the kind of person you want to become and the impact you want to have on others. When your goal is meaningful, your motivation becomes stronger. Difficulties no longer feel like reasons to quit. They become challenges to overcome. Obstacles become part of the journey rather than barriers to success. A meaningful goal provides direction when distractions appear and strength when progress feels slow. The problem many people face is not a lack of ambition. It is a lack of focus. They chase too many goals at once. They divide their attention among countless priorities and end up making little progress on any of them. But extraordinary achievement rarely comes from scattered effort. It comes from concentrated energy directed toward a clear objective. Think about a magnifying glass under sunlight. The sunlight is powerful on its own, but when concentrated into a single point, it can create remarkable results. Your attention works the same way. When your energy is scattered, progress is limited. When your energy is focused, transformation becomes possible. At the beginning of this week, choose one goal that truly matters. Make it specific, make it meaningful, make it worthy of your best effort. Then allow that goal to guide your decisions throughout the week. Before saying yes to new commitments, ask whether they support your goal. Before spending time on distractions, ask whether they move you closer to your purpose. The most successful people are not those who do everything. They are those who know what matters most and have the discipline to focus on it. Every meaningful accomplishment begins with clarity. Every breakthrough begins with a decision. And every great week begins when you stop trying to do everything and commit yourself fully to the one thing that matters most. Before you can lead a team, inspire a family, influence a community, or make a meaningful impact on the world, there is one person you must learn to lead first: yourself. This is one of the most important truths that many people overlook. They spend their lives trying to change others while neglecting the habits, attitudes, and behaviors that shape their own character. Yet true leadership never begins with authority. It begins with personal responsibility. Every week presents a new opportunity to practice self-leadership. It is not something reserved for executives, entrepreneurs, or people with impressive titles. Self-leadership is for everyone. It is the ability to guide your actions according to your values rather than your emotions. It is choosing discipline when excuses seem easier. It is remaining committed when motivation fades. It is holding yourself accountable even when no one is watching. Many people wait to feel inspired before they act. They believe confidence must come first and action will follow, but life often works in the opposite direction. Action creates confidence. Discipline creates momentum. Consistency creates belief. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not necessarily more talented than everyone else. They have simply learned how to lead themselves through difficult moments. The truth is that every day you are leading someone, even if you do not realize it. Your actions influence your family. Your attitude affects your colleagues. Your habits set an example for those around you. People may not always listen to your words, but they are constantly observing your behavior. That is why self-leadership matters so much. You cannot expect others to embrace standards that you refuse to uphold yourself. At the beginning of every week, take ownership of your choices. Instead of blaming circumstances, focus on what is within your control. You cannot control every challenge that appears. You cannot control the actions of other people. You cannot control unexpected setbacks, but you can control your response. You can control your attitude. You can control the decisions you make each day. This mindset is powerful because it shifts your focus from helplessness to responsibility. Responsible people understand that while they may not be responsible for every problem they encounter, they are responsible for how they respond to those problems. That understanding creates resilience. It creates maturity. It creates strength. Self-leadership also requires honesty. It means being willing to examine your weaknesses without making excuses. It means recognizing where you need to improve and taking deliberate steps toward growth. Growth begins the moment you stop pretending that someone else is responsible for becoming the person you want to be. Every successful week is built on small decisions that reflect strong leadership. Waking up when you said you would, keeping promises you made to yourself, finishing tasks even when they become difficult, choosing integrity when shortcuts are available. These moments may seem insignificant, but they shape your character over time. The person you become is determined by the standards you consistently uphold. When you lead yourself well, you create a foundation for every other area of your life. You become someone others can trust because you have learned to trust your own commitment. You become someone others can follow because you have learned how to guide your own path. As this week begins, do not wait for someone else to motivate you, rescue you, or push you forward. Take ownership of your life. Lead yourself with discipline, courage, and purpose. Because the quality of your leadership in the world will always be limited by the quality of leadership you demonstrate within yourself. Every Monday arrives with a gift that many people fail to recognize. It is the gift of a new beginning, not because the calendar changes, not because a new week magically solves old problems, but because every new week offers something incredibly valuable. Another opportunity to start again. Too many people walk into a new week carrying the weight of the previous one. They carry unfinished goals, missed opportunities, disappointments, mistakes, and regrets. They replay conversations they wish had gone differently. They focus on failures they cannot change. They allow yesterday's setbacks to determine today's mindset. As a result, they begin the week already defeated before they have even taken the first step forward. But life was never meant to be lived looking constantly in the rearview mirror. The past has lessons to teach, but it was never meant to become a permanent residence. You can learn from yesterday without living in it. You can acknowledge mistakes without allowing them to define your identity. The most successful, fulfilled, and resilient people understand this principle. They know that growth requires reflection, but it also requires release. Every Monday is an invitation to release what no longer serves you. Real is the guilt that keeps you trapped. Real is the fear that keeps you from trying again. Real is the disappointment that tells you your best days are behind you. Release the belief that one difficult week determines the rest of your story. The truth is that no one succeeds without setbacks. No one reaches their potential without making mistakes. No one builds a meaningful life without experiencing moments of failure. What separates extraordinary people from everyone else is not perfection. It is their willingness to begin again. They understand that every setback carries a lesson. Every challenge builds strength. Every failure provides feedback. And every new week presents another chance to apply what they have learned. Think about how nature operates. Every sunrise brings a new day, regardless of what happened the day before. The seasons continue to change. Life continues to move forward. Nature itself teaches us that renewal is part of growth. Nothing remains stuck forever unless it refuses to move. The same is true for your life. You are not defined by your worst week. You are not defined by your biggest mistake. You are not defined by the opportunities you missed. You are defined by your willingness to rise again, learn again, and move forward again. When Monday arrives, do not see it as the end of your weekend. See it as the beginning of another opportunity, an opportunity to improve, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more intentional than you were before. Approach the week with fresh eyes and renewed faith. Do not allow old doubts to control new possibilities. The future deserves more of your attention than the mistakes of the past. What lies ahead matters far more than what lies behind. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let past disappointments rob you of present opportunities. It means choosing hope over cynicism, action over hesitation, and growth over regret. As this week begins, remember that you have been given a clean page. The story is not finished, the chapter is not over. There is still work to do, lessons to learn, people to impact, and dreams to pursue. So walk into this week with confidence. Walk into it with gratitude. Walk into it with the belief that every Monday is proof that life is giving you another chance to write a better story. And sometimes, that fresh start is all you need to create a completely different future.